We've got Cabin Fever, singing pirates, and Tim Curry having the absolute time of his life. Today, we are setting sail back to 1996 to answer the question, does Muppet Treasure Island still hold up? Or is it just a bunch of weirdos on a boat?
Who hired this crew?
Plus, will Seth make me walk the plank with this episode's trivia question?
In the original script, Gonzo and Rizzo were the leads instead of the young man. It's true or false?
Finally, we'll answer the most important question. How are we going to rate it? Are you going to take it home? Are you going to watch it at Grandma's? Or are you going to hide it in the attic? So grab your treasure maps and practice your best sea shanty. It's time to watch another movie at Grandma's. Hello, please come in. There's some fresh cookies in the cookie jar. There's a pitcher of Kool-Aid on the counter. Have a seat and make yourself comfortable. Welcome to Movies at Grandma's House, where we love to watch movies from our childhood to answer the question, does it still hold up? And is it family-friendly enough that even Grandma will enjoy? And I'm your host, Isaac. Enough of this singing. I need rum.
And this is Seth. Well, gentlemen, this is definitely a genuine, bona fide treasure map.
It is great to see you, Seth. Just as a reminder for the fine folks at home, what is Grandma putting on for us to watch today?
1996's Muppets Treasure Island.
Okay, so if you have never seen this movie, we like to give you a fair warning. We are going to be discussing it at length. So if you don't want anything spoiled, consider the spoiler territory going forward. Well, let's jump right into this, getting some more backstory about this little movie called Muppet Treasure Island and some film facts. So again, Muppet Treasure Island was released back on February 16th, 1996. It had a budget that has actually been $31 million, supposedly $5 million. We might discuss more, but as of record, it is at $31 million. The box office, $47.2 million. Looking around at some reviews, IMDb is at a 6.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is a 80%. Letterboxd is a 3.6 out of 5. Currently, as of this recording, you can watch for free streaming on Disney+. It stars Tim Curry, Dave Goltz, Steve Whitmire, Frank Oz, and many more. It's in association with Walt Disney Pictures and Jim Henson Productions. And last but not least, we have to hear, how does Grandma feel about this one?
Granny's family-friendly rating for Muppets Treasure Island is a C for violence, brief language, and alcohol use.
Yes, surprising amount of violence and death, those types of things. I'm sure we'll discuss more, but that's just a little bit of a preview. If you're thinking this is going to be a family-friendly movie, Grandma's got a few words to talk about, as Seth mentioned there, a few things. We'll get into that more, but there's your heads up on the rating. And if you have seen this film, you have your memories, your ratings, we'd love to hear from you. So be sure you comment down below your thoughts, your take on this movie. Well, let's jump right into this. I'm really curious to hear. Again, this was back in 1996, all these years later. What are your first memories with this film, Seth?
I don't know how, but if I saw this, it was so long ago that I don't really remember it. It was completely new to me. So
really,
I don't know how. I'm a huge Muppets fan. I have no idea. Can't explain it.
Wow. That takes me back because I know you love the Muppets. I
do.
grew up watching.
I do.
So, wow. Now, I'll admit I don't remember watching this often. I remember watching it. My first memories are seeing more commercials, more advertising. This was post Jim Henson after he had died. So they were really hyping this one up. And it was his son who really took over running those types of productions. And I think he does the voice of Kermit or in some shape or form is the puppeteer. But anyway, that's my first memories of it, of seeing it. But I'll admit it's been a long time. So this was kind of fresh coming back to this one, kind of getting into the expectations. I'd love to hear, though, since you never saw this one or don't have recollection, what were your expectations coming back on the rewatch?
Just hoping that to have a good time. For some reason, my expectations were a little bit low for this one going into it. So I was just trying to get, an even feeling for it.
Gotcha. I was just like, I hope it's got that nice charm that Muppets have. And we'll get into it. We have our kid test with my children, what they think of it. They don't like the Muppets. I don't know. I'm kind of just like, I shake my head because I love the Muppets growing up. I remember having the original show, having it on those VHS tapes where you tape it, you could tape over it. We had so many of those. And that's just fond memories I have. But my expectations was, I hope they can enjoy this one. Maybe this gets their attention a little more. And obviously for me, it's going to capture those memories of watching the Muppets. That's what I was hoping for. I was trying not to put the bar too high, but that's where I was looking at it coming into it. Well, before we get to the plot rewind, let's pause just a moment to hear from our sponsors.
Hey, love movies as much as we do? Then bring the experience of the theater to your walls with movieposters.com. Whether you're into the classics, the blockbusters, or indie gems, they have something for every single film fanatic. As a listener of our podcast, you can save up to 15% on your order right now. Just use code Grandma's House at checkout. Head to movieposters.com and let's build your ultimate collection today.
All right, let's take the VHS out of the cupboard. Let's put it into the VCR and press play.
In 1996, the Muppets put their own spin on a classic tale, Treasure Island. With Jim Hawkins, Long John Silver, and Captain Kermit, as they search for the treasure, they encounter all sorts of mayhem. There's bad guys, and there's more bad guys. Will the map lead them to the gold? Find out for yourself as Grandma puts on a 30-year-old Muppets movie.
Very nice. Yes, this is a very interesting take on the Treasure Island story. Famous. I think everybody's at least heard of it. If you've never read the book, you understand at least the premise, what's going on. So it's kind of fun. It's the thought of, yes, this should work in theory when you look at it on paper. If you are a fan of the Muppets, having that kind of dynamic. And what hit me right off the bat, my first impressions, is this is a lot more adult than I remember. There's a lot of death. There's a lot of just killing, to say the least. These are pirates. So let's get that out of the way. You were not going to expect that premise of Treasure Island with pirates and all those types of things. But I was still a little taken back. I'll be honest. I was like, whoa. I was not expecting that. That's what kind of jumps out to me. But I got to know, because like you said, this was kind of a fresh take for you. What are your first impressions as you're watching the film?
So I'm not sure why, but I didn't think that this was going to be a musical.
Oh, boy.
It was very dated. You can tell that from the very intro, and to the point where it actually slowed down the story for me. I just hoped that the movie would get better as it goes along.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you. I'm glad you felt that way, because I was like, yeah, this is a lot more singing than I remember. I'm almost the same. Like I recall the singing, but yeah.
Why didn't I expect it though? Because most Muppets movies have a couple of musical numbers in them, at least, you know?
Right. It shouldn't surprise you. You're right.
I don't know why. I just was thinking, this is a movie about Treasure Island. It's not going to have songs in it. I don't know what I was thinking.
You know what it is? I think it just dawned on me as we're discussing this. So the Muppets, yes, they're mostly singing. If you watch the Muppet Show, they had dance numbers, and it's Muppets, so they're, fake dancing, whatever. But regardless, it's musicals. It's fun and dance. Yeah. But this is serious content. Like Treasure Island is a darker take. If you really break it down, if you really look at the content of, there's this, island of treasure. And there's these other pirates that are after it, and they will do whatever it takes, killing and do pirating to get it. And it's Jim Hawkins. He's this boy that comes across the map. He's the one that has it. They make a crew, set sail, and go to this island. That, again, it's a famous plot of him bonding with the, Long John Silver's. He's the cook. He's pretending to be this pirate. But that's a dark take. And then you have all this singing and dancing. So you're kind of thrown for a loop a little bit. Like,
you are.
Yeah. So you felt that same way then.
It's a roller coaster ride. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I think, a great point. As you're talking about, I'm like, you know what? That's what really hits me, is this is kind of a confusing movie.
It is.
Because I love the Muppets. I love Treasure Island, that story. And on paper, again, like I said, it feels like a match that should work. Mm-hmm. I think it kind of, the plot is good. It works off of that original plot. But the musical numbers do kind of slow the story down. I 100% agree with you. I'm glad we're in agreement on that, because I was thinking to myself, is he going to love this and stuff? And if you do, great. I mean, if you can enjoy it. But this is a kind of a beloved movie. I think a lot of people associate Muppets as this was their introduction to it. This was, again, 1996. If you're a 90s kid, maybe you didn't watch the show, but you watched this. But I'll just make a confession. Yeah, I do think the story is kind of bogged down with the singing numbers. Mm-hmm. I chuckled and laughed. Don't get me wrong. Like, there was some unique charm there. But that's right out the gate, a kind of a knock, I'll say, with this movie. If you're trying to follow the story, it might throw you for a loop a little bit, I would say. But yeah, anything else on the story, like the plot, that's a great point. I really appreciate what you brought up about it.
So it felt different than the other iterations of the Muppets. I don't know if you caught that or not. Something was off about it. It didn't flow well to me. And what you were mentioning before might be why.
Yeah. And this
Yeah.
is also Jim Henson. You really miss Jim Henson, as
Yeah. Yes.
because again, I remember as a kid even not liking post Jim Henson after he
I
died.
remember that too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the voice was off. I mean, you're not gonna do another Jim Henson, even if it is family that did it, his son or others. So maybe, do you think that's it? Maybe just that not having that Jim Henson charm. It's maybe a little lacking compared to the before.
It definitely impacted it for sure. I just don't understand why it was so different. It just felt so different than the other Muppets movies. I don't know if they were going for that. Maybe they wanted to be a departure, but it didn't flow right for me. Like I'll use that term over and over again in this episode. It didn't flow. It didn't mesh well.
Yeah,
I felt
I'm
something was
100%.
off. Something was off for sure.
I don't know what it is either. Like I can't. That's the only like suspicion I have is just those factors all together.
And it makes
Um,
sense too.
Yeah, it's just, unfortunately, I think, like you said, it aged. I think that's the other thing.
Yeah.
When you saw this, at least what I can recall, I didn't think that. I didn't like that it wasn't Jim Henson, the voice, but I was noticing a lot more flaws this time around. Let's just say that there was a lot more with the plot. With it's going dark 1 minute. They even acknowledge that. I mean, there's a quote.
Yes.
We'll get to quotes later, but it's the mouse. He's just like, he died, and I thought this was a kids movie. Like that even acknowledges. Like, this is supposed to be a kid's movie, but man,
Yeah.
it gets pretty dark at times.
It does. It really does.
Yeah. They're pirates. Again, you gotta understand that's the content that you're getting into, but
I don't want to jump on your kid test, but I mean, it's probably for more older kids than younger ones because it is very violent in times. I mean,
Yeah.
very violent.
yeah. Right. I mean, the first scene, like you said, they're singing, but then they go to where the treasure's at, and it cuts away, obviously, but he just pretty much kills the whole crew. Just like not even like just gunshot. And I was like, that's what really threw me for a loop. So we could go on. I think we're getting the point of like, this is just be forewarned. There's a lot of content in this maybe you weren't expecting if it's been a while, like us. It'd been a year since I'd seen it. So just forewarning there. I guess that's a big talking point. But again, this is the Muppets. So there are a big ensemble of characters. What'd you think of the characters though, otherwise?
So I'll jump into it. I thought the characters were very strong. That was probably the best part of the film. They did something right there. I've really enjoyed the leads and the side characters. The lead characters really told the story very well, and the side characters provided the comedy relief. And I think that's really the strong suit of this movie is the casting. I mean, you've got to admit that.
Yeah. I would say Jim Hawkins, the one who played his character, his acting was a little forced at times, if I'm going to critique a little bit. But he does a good job. Like you said, he does a good Jim Hawkins as a character. There was just sometimes I did notice it was a little bit forced. And he was a younger actor too. So that's probably just the experience factor going into it. And let's be honest, how hard is it? You got to put yourself in those shoes of acting with Muppets. Like you got to pretend, but be as realistic as possible.
I'll sprinkle in some fun facts during the episode. You brought it up. I forget his name. It's probably in front of me. Kevin Bishop. He was Jim, and he went through puberty during the filming of the movie, so they dubbed his singing, all the singing.
Oh, there it is. Okay,
and so that might be part of it. It didn't feel natural.
Yes.
And that was probably a big part of it. There's little things like that I'll sprinkle through because this movie was very different, and we'll find out why.
Right. Yeah. It's fascinating. Again, when you look at the making of movies, I mentioned it's off topic, but the budget. When I was doing research, there's a lot of suspicion of like it cost this much, but they came out and said it was this much. So you're almost like, huh? Like, why are you keeping this under wraps? Like they're trying to be secretive about it. So there's a lot of
whenever there's a big gap in between what it could be, the estimated, that scares me a little. There's something a little fishy going on there. Yeah.
Right. Pun intended. There's some fishy things going on there. I mean, it's like it has to be a high budgeted movie because I will praise, again, it's the Muppets. They use practical effects. They have puppeteers and things, but that was legit water. Like think of how much money that would be to do water effects and fill up a tank and have actors in that all day long. And there's little things you don't think about that. That's the backstory of, that might contribute to what we're talking about, a little bit of the
Yeah.
content. Maybe there's some production values. They were wanting to go one way and this side want to do that. And so this is the end product of it all.
Yeah.
Who knows? More research should be done on that. But anyway, the one thing I will also praise, if I'm going to throw in some more, I mean, Tim Curry's terrific. Come on.
Yes.
And he's just absolutely great as Long John Silver. He's just a lot of fun. He's what makes it fun other than the Muppets. Like the Muppets,
Yes.
you know Kermit, you know Gonzo. Fonzie is great. I love his character too. But Tim Curry is great. What'd you think of him as Long John Silver?
Just, I'll get into it with the fun facts, but I really, I like the way he carried himself. He took himself seriously, but not too seriously.
Yes.
And I think to fit in with this movie, you kind of have to do that.
Yeah.
I think any kind of pirate movie, you've kind of got to be a little loosey-goosey on.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just go completely 100% stern as a pirate because it won't play off right. You got to have a little bit of wonkiness to you, I guess is the right word.
Yeah.
And I think he did just amazing job. Like probably the highlight of the film, honestly.
I think that's what people remember too about this
Yeah.
movie. Obviously Muppets, but he steals the show. Let's just put it that way. He really does a great job. Like you mentioned, the casting was really well done. Who would have thought?
Yes.
Let's get Tim Curry.
No, I would never.
No, I wouldn't have thought.
I would have never thought that.
It works so well. And I knocked the actor who played Jim, but I think, like you said, the singing being dubbed, maybe that was part of it. Just coming into puberty, and then they dubbed over because I did think his singing numbers were a little forced. That's where I go back to.
Yeah.
But at the end, the story goes, they come across this treasure, but Long John Silver sets off. He's let go, and there's that goodbye. I thought that was a powerful sequence. Like I actually felt that that's what is a driving force of Treasure Island, is that bond between Jim and Long John Silver's, because obviously Long John Silver is this pirate, but he feels that compassion for Jim, and you felt that. At least I did with Tim Curry. So I can't praise him enough. He really did a terrific job. And I feel like the Muppets, they, for the most part, I'll say the most part, did well. There were some times, I do agree with you, though, it was a little different. Like, I think Gonzo was a little messed up at times. He was enjoying a little bit of that's his character, so don't get me wrong, but it's a little too extreme for me. Like, people are dying or doing this and that, and he's like, cool. And I'm like, cool. What? Like, no, Gonzo. Like, he was always one of my favorites, and he's a little edgier this time around. Did you catch that?
I got that. Yeah. You're not alone.
I'm just like, what is going on? That's why I think it felt off. Sometimes you're like, whoa, like this doesn't feel like the Muppets I recall. They're there. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they captured it. They did a good job for the most part. But that's the one maybe gripe I'll throw in there. Like, I was a little shocked at times of how they strayed more from the family friendly than you'd expect, at least from my perspective, I would say. But yeah, anything else that you want to throw in there? If it's quotes, scenes, or anything like that?
I've got a quote and a scene I'd like to talk about, but yeah, I'm sure you've got some quotes as well. So I really like the quote. I don't know why it hit me stronger when I read it than when I heard it. Look at this. I'm taller. That's so cool. I may even have a future in the NBA.
That was a good one. I really like that one. There's a lot of fun gags throughout, for sure, too.
Yes.
The rat makes it look like a cruise. That's how he's making the money. I love those. There's so many quotes. I couldn't keep track of them all, but they're just kind of like, oh, I wasn't expecting that on the cruise. Like, all this chaos is going on. They're just like taking pictures or doing stuff. So I loved that part of it. Yeah, again, if you like the Muppets, you're going to have a good time with it for sure. For all the gags and comedy anyway. You should be used to that.
So I do have a scene that I thought was interesting. So I really enjoyed the gold scene reveal. It was a nice change of pace, and it gave the movie watchers a reward in seeing the climax of the Treasure Island. So it was something that kind of, I guess, built up to it, but yet was a nice change of scenery compared to what was before it. So I like that scene.
Yeah, that is a good point. I think there's a lot of just the practical effects, the colors, the dynamics of those.
That's one thing they did really well was the different colors on the screen. It blended well, even though it's aged quite a bit. It still looks pretty decent for 1996. I'd say it's not that bad.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. I love that style. It's got its own style. It's distinctive. That you see it once, you remember it. And that's what kind of associates, I think, people that recall this movie. Does a great job, but it does age in other ways, like we talked about. So, don't be thinking it's going to be amazing. But I really do appreciate when practical effects are done well. This is one of them. It still holds up in that way, if that makes sense.
And I saw, is this our first Muppets movie?
I think it is of all Muppets.
So
Yeah,
I've considered a few in the Uncle Seth's corner, so I probably am thinking about those. But it's the like, I don't know if you want to call it puppeteering and animatronics and everything was really well done in this movie, and that's probably due to the budget being so high. But yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job, especially since they didn't have Jim Henson because he did all of that. Like that was his baby. So
oh yeah, I still commend them for it. Yeah, I knock it a little bit without Jim Henson there, but still, show props. It's well done. I agree with you. Like they're doing different action scenes. There's, the CERN, it's spinning around, or they're trying to get everything together on the ship. You see them. It looks like real people, and that's why I love the Muppets. They're puppets. They're Muppets, but they feel real. They feel like actual creatures that are living. It's not someone down there mouthing it, like in your mind.
Even
that's what
more so than some computer graphics today. Like, so I would agree with you 100% on that. Yeah,
exactly. That's why I love practical effects when they do that, because this is a great evidence of that. Yes, it can show its age, but it holds up so much better. I'm picturing in my mind the CGI at that time. If they did that, obviously it's the Muppets, but let's just put into that thought of how good practical effects are. You just shake your head like, oh man, look at this. It's kind of an eyesore now looking at the CGI. But practical effects, when they're done like this, they still are kind of timeless in their style and how they come across. So great props to them. They did an excellent job on that way. I'll give them that. Sure. All right. Well, I'm interested to hear, again, this was 1996. We discussed a little bit here and there of fun facts, but I'm interested to hear what you got.
I've got a few. So the first one I found was Tim Curry being a fan of the Muppets, later went on to say that this was one of his favorite roles of all time.
Love that. Yes. It comes across we're talking about, like, he just seems like he's having a blast with this one. And that makes total sense. If you're a fan of it and you're going in, I bet he had just the time of his life.
In your intro actually alluded to that. So I like that. I like that fun fact. That's good. It goes along with the intro. So another one I found was that around 100 actors auditioned for the role of Jim Hawkins. Kevin Bishop did the very first audition for that. And he got it. Isn't that amazing that he went through that, and then they had to go through 100 more, and he was the first one, and they still liked him that much that they kept him on. So that's pretty amazing.
It makes sense, because that's an important character. Other than Long John Silver, that is like the character. I mean, the Muppets are playing all the other characters, so you don't even have to give it a second thought. You just go, oh, they'll play this character and so on. Yeah. But that does make sense, because you got to get that Jim character down. He's that boy that's a sense of adventure. He's growing, he's maturing, and Long John Silver is kind of that father figure. So there must have just been something there, and I think it worked out. Like, again, I'll give them praise on that. There was just something a little off on probably mostly the singing numbers, but I think they did a good job. That's still really interesting. They you could tell really wanted to get the actor that would fit.
And it's, from what I read, it seemed like there was quite a bit of time from casting till the complete project. So the hit for his voice to change is not unusual. Like, that does happen in a lot of different movies. I think we've even discussed it before. In some movies. So not unusual for sure. No. But that being said, one more fun fact that I found, but I didn't write it down, was that Frank Oz was absent for most of the movie, which is really unusual. We can talk about that. But he had another schedule. He had another movie he was shooting, and they pretty much did everything without him and then redid it in post-production. So he appeared after the movie was finished and did all his lines.
Interesting. But that makes sense. I mean, he was doing a lot of projects, so hey, when you do puppeteer, it works, especially with someone as talented as Frank Oz, where he can mimic and do the voice. It's seamless. You don't even notice that. You wouldn't have known that if
you hit the nail on the head, because like not a lot of people could have done it without being a big difference. Yeah. Like, because if somebody else timed it and then he just came in and was like, well, I'll do it this way. And he studied it and he did it right. So it worked out.
Yeah. Huge props to Frank Oz. He's a legend for sure.
Yes. Big fan.
Yes.
So it's time for a fun fact trivia question. Are you ready?
Oh, I hope I don't walk the plank this time, but here we go.
Another true or false. I'll stop with these eventually. So true or false. In the original script, Gonzo and Rizzo were the leads instead of the young man. It's true or false?
So Jim and Long John Silver, or just
must have been the leads. Yeah, I think they must have been. Yeah.
Originally, I'm going to say I'm glad they changed it. I don't know if that would have worked as well. Just being frank, I like how there's a human playing your Jim and your Long John Silver. If that's the case, Something's telling me true. Maybe you're trying to throw me in a little wrench, but I'm going to go true. I'm going to lock it in.
It's true. You're right.
All right. Interesting.
So they eventually decided that the story needed the boy to make it work because it's the story of Long John Silver and how, everything. So they were originally, I guess they were originally going to have Gonzo and Rizzo be the two leads, and they were going to tell the story their own way, like not even like completely straying from the original Treasure Island and doing their own thing. And they said, well, this isn't going to work because we got to stick to Treasure Island, otherwise it won't be Treasure Island. Yeah. So they changed it to have him in the movie. So I think was a wise decision, although it would have been hilarious to have them as leads.
Yeah.
Yes.
It would probably be it'd definitely be a different movie for sure.
Yes.
But I'm glad they changed it because I just like that they base it on that Treasure Island. They still got the characters there, and it's just in this world of Muppets. I love that. I don't know, there's something about it, but if you change it to where now they're just kind of these leads, maybe I feel like as much as we bash the story kind of going like the dark and all that, it still works. Yeah. But if it was aimless, just we're throwing a Muppet movie, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. So I'm glad they changed that. Maybe it would have worked. Who knows? Okay. It's the what ifs, but I do agree with you. Like I'm glad they changed it. I like that dynamic.
You're doing very well this season, by the way.
Yes.
I haven't written a lot of easy questions, so I'm glad you got them.
They've thrown me. I've second guessed myself a little bit, but again, I don't know what it is. I hope I can keep this streak going, and hey, hopefully get me next time. But for now, I'm on a winning streak, so here we go. All right. Well, before we get to our review, we like to look around the net, just see what kind of thoughts are out there. We've talked about this as probably in a lot of childhood, so I'm really interested what kind of reviews. So Seth, what are you seeing?
So we got two regulars and a new face. So the first regular we've got is CC the Movie Man -1 says, not their best, but still a decent Muppet movie, 6 out of 10.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, at least they acknowledge that. Like maybe they have the same gripes or problems we had with it as well, but that's a decent review.
My favorite reviewer, I should say, is The Little Songbird, and they said, one of my favorite Muppet movies, 9 out of 10.
Wow. That's one of their favorites, 9 out of 10. I mean, we don't see 9 out of 10 too often, unless it's kind of that universally loved. So that's got the nostalgia there for sure. I could see it though.
So the new face, Mitsubishi Zero, says, when they're not singing, it's a decent movie, 7 out of 10.
Was this written by you, Seth? I'm getting a little question marks there, especially with the name Mitsubishi being a car guy. It's your burner account going on IMDb.
I think my account is actually Seth Green, I think.
Okay. That sounds kind of like close to what you're saying. Like the singing, it's not terrible, but I kind of agree with that. Like it just slows it down. There's just something that you're getting this nice flow, no pun intended.
I will say some of the songs are better than other ones.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting it for some reason. I thought it was going to be like a true pirate story, and it wasn't. It was, I don't know. It was just me, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be something we get to in our review a little bit more of like the what ifs, but I think it just, coming back to it years later, it just, you're wanting a nice flow. You're wanting it to kind of keep going with the story, and that it has a almost stop go with the singing and other elements thrown in there. So it's unfortunate. I think you can still enjoy it like some of those reviews showing, hey, I still enjoy it. But if you want to be honest, like I wasn't a fan of it. That's just my take on it anyway. So, well, before we get to our review, we also like to do the kid test. We kind of hinted at it a little bit. Short and sweet, this did not seal it for my kids. I already mentioned it was an uphill battle. They are not the biggest Muppets fans, but like we talked about, a little bit of the dark elements and stuff, they were kind of like, what's going on? Just, I'll put it simply. I have 10-year-old, I have an 8-year-old, 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. Did not get their attention. So this did not pass the kid test. Just simply put, I like to kind of give their thoughts, but they didn't really have much to say. They just didn't like it. They're like, I don't like it. I don't have any interest seeing it again. It just maybe wasn't up their alley, again, being a Muppets movie, but maybe the Pirates theme also didn't help. They haven't really expressed interest in that, which is fine. Again, it's not your kid kind of content when you want to get down to it. So that's just, again, in my experience, it probably doesn't pass the kid test. Kind of like what you said, Seth, maybe if they're a little older, they'll appreciate it. Maybe they'll understand what's going on. I feel like they just didn't understand a lot of it, especially with the singing numbers kind of randomly thrown in there. And they're not big on singing either. So like I said, this was going to be an uphill battle. I still remained hopeful. But unfortunately, that's how the kid test goes. Not this time, unfortunately. Okay, we've come to the time where we get to give our final rating. So here we go, Seth. I'm going to ask you the question. For Muppet Treasure Island, how are you going to rate it? Are you going to take it home? Are you going to watch it at Grandma's? Or are you going to hide it in the attic?
So this wasn't my cup of tea. I it had fun moments, but I'll pretty much take any other Muppets movie over this one. So I have to hide this in the attic. I'm sorry. I wish I could have enjoyed it more. I really do. I really do. I just didn't care for it.
No disrespect there. You know what? I'm just going to make you feel better right now. I'm going to rate it Hide It in the Attic as well.
Yay!
And I mean, I was thinking to myself, maybe Seth really will enjoy this one in the back of my mind, but I'm like, no, I'm going to give my honest take. I'm not going to have that bias of enjoying the Muppets. Like I said, I grew up watching so many episodes of the Muppets.
Hours and hours, yes.
Yeah, like it's kind of sad, really, because this should be something, if you're a Muppets fan, you enjoy. And we looked at the reviews. There are ones. But this Muppet fan here, I'm with you. It was not my cup of tea. It just didn't flow right. There was something off about it. Like we keep saying, I can't put my finger on it. It just felt kind of a mess at times. And
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. And it's sad because, again, I love Tim Curry. If you want to look
and there's great moments.
Yeah.
There are great moments in this film.
Yeah. I would say the knock I would have against it is it's just a little bit of a mess. It doesn't have that flow that I think you're looking for. At least I was. And it's not as family friendly as I was also hoping it to be. If it didn't go quite that far, I mean, like I mentioned, the line, he died. I thought this was a kids movie. I got a chuckle out of it. I understood that they're acknowledging it as much, but it was a little, it was like scary kind of like intense stuff. It wasn't just we're throwing in this random thing here. It was kind of sprinkled throughout. And like I said, it didn't really pass the kid test on my end. So yes, today I'm going to hide this one in the attic. I don't really have that thought of I'm going to come back to this one, to be honest. I'll see maybe some clips. I'll chuckle at the parts there, but just being honest, that's my rating.
Yeah, is that the first time we've agreed in a while? It feels like it is.
Maybe. It might be. Talking about streaks, it seems like we've been kind of not opposites, but one.
At least as far as like the hide in the attic is what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah.
I think it's been a little while.
I'm kind of relieved. Like I said, I was like, I don't want to bash this movie if you enjoy it. I know there's a lot of nostalgia with people that have seen this back in the 90s. You're talking 30 years. Yeah, it's just crazy to think that's how long it's been now. But I'm sorry, it just did not age the best for me. So for now, Grandma, throw that thing up in the attic. I don't have any interest to watch it again. Well, there you go, folks. Another movie in the books. This was one we wanted to do for its anniversary in February. We missed the boat, pun intended there. We're a little late to the party, but regardless, this was a lot of fun.
The ship has sailed.
Yes, it has. It's just, it was still a lot of fun to come back to this one, though, regardless. Even if we watched some that we didn't like as much, it's still so much fun to capture that nostalgia. A lot of these movies I remember watching in some shape or form. So this was a lot of fun, Seth. But before we go, we want to make sure we tell the good people where they can find and connect with us. So, Seth, where can people find us?
You can find us at YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, at Movies at Grandma's House, and on TikTok at LADX Media. Feel free to email us suggestions, memories, and comments to moviesatgrandmashouse@gmail.com. We have an excellent newsletter, so check that out, as well as a revamped Patreon with exclusive content for loyal fans. As always, we are brought to you by movieposters.com, so please use code Grandma's House at checkout, that's one word, for up to 15% off.
That's it. Yes, be sure to drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you, all the memories you have, if it's movies we've covered or any requests. Be sure to let us know. And if you want to get all up to date on all things Movies at Grandma's House, make sure you're on our newsletter. That's where you can win a free movie poster. It's our giveaway once a month. Just being on our newsletter and check out our Patreon. We got some fun stuff cooking in the kitchen, so to say, on our Patreon. Well, that's going to do it for our time at Grandma's House. But don't worry, we will be back soon. So in the meantime, remember to be kind and rewind. We'll see you next time.
This episode's starting to sink.